Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
The top edge of a vessel or other container. An impudent or insolent rejoinder. Botany. Either of the two parts of a bilabiate corolla or calyx. Either of two fleshy folds of tissue that surround the mouth and play a role in speaking. Either the outer margin or the inner margin of the aperture of a gastropod's shell. The top edge of a vessel or other container. A circular projection that sticks outward from the crown of a hat. Be completely full. His eyes brimmed with tears. Fill as much as possible. Brim a cup to good fellowship. The top edge of a vessel or other container. A projection used for strength or for attaching to another object. Basketball. The hoop from which the net is suspended. The ball hit the rim and bounced off. Furnish with a rim. Rim a hat. Roll around the rim of. The ball rimmed the basket. Run around the rim of. Sugar rimmed the dessert plate. The outer part of a wheel to which the tire is attached. The shape of a raised edge of a more or less circular object. An impudent or insolent rejoinder. An impudent or insolent rejoinder. Express in speech. The opening through which food is taken in and vocalizations emerge. He stuffed his mouth with candy. A spokesperson, as a lawyer. An impudent or insolent rejoinder. An opening that resembles a mouth, as of a cave or a gorge. He rode into the mouth of the canyon. A person conceived as a consumer of food. He has 4 mouths to feed. Articulate silently. Form words with the lips only. She mouthed a swear word. The externally visible part of the oral cavity on the face and the system of organs surrounding the opening. She wiped lipstick from her mouth. The opening of a jar or bottle. The jar had a wide mouth. The point where a stream issues into a larger body of water. New York is at the mouth of the Hudson. Touch with the mouth. An impudent or insolent rejoinder. Don't give me any of your sass. Answer back in an impudent or insolent manner. Don't sass me. An impudent or insolent rejoinder. The attribute of urgency in tone of voice. His voice had an edge to it. Lie adjacent to another or share a boundary. Advance slowly, as if by inches. He edged towards the car. Provide with a border or edge. Edge the tablecloth with embroidery. The boundary of a surface. A line determining the limits of an area. A sharp side formed by the intersection of two surfaces of an object. He rounded the edges of the box. A slight competitive advantage. He had an edge on the competition. Provide with an edge. Edge a blade. The outside limit of an object or area or surface. A place farthest away from the center of something. The edge of the leaf is wavy. A quick reply to a question or remark, especially a witty or critical one. It brought a sharp rejoinder from the teacher. Law. A pleading made by a defendant in response to the plaintiff's replication. Answer back. A quick reply to a question or remark, especially a witty or critical one. Fencing. A counterattack made immediately after successfully parrying the opponent's lunge. Make a return thrust. His opponent riposted. A quick reply to a question or remark, especially a witty or critical one. Return by a celebrity to some previously successful activity. A return punch, especially by a boxer. Act in advance of. Deal with ahead of time. Indicating opposition or resistance. A piece of leather forming the back of a shoe or boot. A counter may be used to stiffen the material around the heel and to give support to the foot. A calculator that keeps a record of the number of times something happens. A piece of furniture that stands at the side of a dining room, has shelves and drawers. A quick reply to a question or remark, especially a witty or critical one. A person who counts things. Computer science. A register whose contents go through a regular series of states, usually states indicating consecutive integers. Game equipment, as a piece of wood, plastic, or ivory, used for keeping account or reserving a space in various card or board games. Speak in response. He countered with some very persuasive arguments. Table consisting of a horizontal surface over which business is transacted. The income or profit arising from such transactions as the sale of land or other property. The average return was about 5%. The key on electric typewriters or computer keyboards that causes a carriage return and a line feed. Document giving the tax collector information about the taxpayer's tax liability. His gross income was enough that he had to file a tax return. Go back to a previous state. Elect again. A coming to or returning home. On his return from Australia, we gave him a welcoming party. Happening again, especially at regular intervals. The return of spring. Be restored. Her old vigor returned. Give or supply. Pass down. Pay back. Go back to something earlier. Getting something back again. Bring back to the point of departure. The act of someone appearing again. Answer back. Give back. A quick reply to a question or remark, especially a witty or critical one. Be inherited by. The land returned to the family. The occurrence of a change in direction back in the opposite direction. A reciprocal group action. In return, we gave them as good as we got. American football. The act of running back the ball after a kickoff or punt or interception or fumble. A tennis stroke that sends the ball back to the other player. He won the point on a cross-court return. Go or come back to place, condition, or activity where one has been before. Return to your native land. Make a return. Return a kickback. Return in kind. Return a compliment. Return to a previous position, in mathematics. The point returned to the interior of the figure. Submit a report, etc., to someone in authority. The act of going back to a prior location. They set out on their return to the base camp. Answer back. A quick reply to a question or remark, especially a witty or critical one. A vessel where substances are distilled or decomposed by heat. The act of making copies. Copy that is not the original. Something that has been copied. The repetition of a sound resulting from reflection of the sound waves. A quick reply to a question or remark, especially a witty or critical one. Genetics, the process whereby DNA makes a copy of itself before cell division. Law, a pleading made by a plaintiff in reply to the defendant's plea or answer. The repetition of an experiment in order to test the validity of its conclusion. Scientists will not believe an experimental result until they have seen at least one replication. Any part of a plant or fungus. Any part of a plant or fungus. A movable speech organ. Someone who pronounces words. Any body part visible externally. Finance, the net sales minus the cost of goods and services sold. The amount of collateral a customer deposits with a broker when borrowing from the broker to buy securities. A permissible difference, allowing some freedom to move within limits. The boundary line or the area immediately inside the boundary. An amount beyond the minimum necessary. The margin of victory. The blank space that surrounds the text on a page. He jotted a note in the margin. The size of something is given by the distance around it. The boundary line or the area immediately inside the boundary. A line enclosing a plane areas. Form the boundary of, be contiguous to. Lie adjacent to another or share a boundary. Extend on all sides of simultaneously, encircle. A decorative recessed or relieved surface on an edge. Provide with a border or edge. A line that indicates a boundary. Enclose in or as if in a frame. The boundary of a surface. The boundary line or the area immediately inside the boundary. A strip forming the outer edge of something. The rug had a wide blue border. The stitching that forms the rim of a shoe or boot. A figurative restraint. Asked for a collar on program trading in the stock market. Take into custody. A band that fits around the neck and is usually folded over. The act of apprehending, especially apprehending a criminal. The policeman on the beat got credit for the collar. Necklace that fits tightly around a woman's neck. The stitching that forms the rim of a shoe or boot. A band of leather or rope that is placed around an animal's neck as a harness or to identify it. Anything worn or placed about the neck. The thief was forced to wear a heavy wooden collar. A short ring fastened over a rod or shaft to limit, guide, or secure a machine part. Furnish with a collar. Collar the dog. Seize by the neck or collar. Zoology, an encircling band or marking around the neck of any animal. The upper lip. The lower lip. A craft designed for water transportation. A tube in which a body fluid circulates. An object used as a container, especially for liquids. An artery that is a branch of the facial artery that supplies the lips of the mouth. An artery that is a branch of the facial artery that supplies the lips of the mouth. Veins draining the lips of the vulva. A vein draining the lips of the mouth.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.